what's one thing agents should be thinking about in our future that might already be happening in another market, in another continent, in another country?
Well, you're right. Countries are completely different. I mean, I was just speaking in Argentina a few weeks ago. There's no license law, no organized MLS. It's just wake up and say, I'm going to sell real estate. So just very different rules. So I don't think even with the global experience, I can look at other countries and talk about the different rules or lack thereof. I think at the end of the day, though, there's one common element that spreads across every single one of the 118 countries that at least we have a presence in, which is our job is we don't sell houses. I don't believe that. I believe houses sell themselves. Mm-hmm. I believe we sell the service and the connection to make it successful of someone that wants or needs to sell with someone that wants or needs to buy. Yeah. And we bring that together because it's scary, it's complex, it's one of the largest transactions that people do. And the fact that we can be knowledgeable and help that come together is the absolute common thread that spans every country.
Well, when you think about that, right, we've talked about this before where that's you being the guide in the transaction and the hero is the client versus a lot of agents. And I think the ones that don't do well, they want to be the hero. They want to be like that knight in shining armor in a Disney movie instead of like Obi-Wan Kenobi and guiding them through the process. So I think that's really critical. You have a ton of experience. I mean, I've spoken about this with my father. He, knew who you are when you came back in. Like he's one of the Remax old school kind of guys. What did your experience at companies like Zillow, which some people think they're horrible, some people think they're great. I'm all for Zillow. We're flex partners, both of us here. How did that help you lead the company now? Because some people look at it as a threat, and some people look at portals in general, not just Zillow.
Sure.
And some people look at them as a partner or a way to client acquisition. How's that helping you lead Remax?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for the question. I absolutely love that because I rely on it on a regular basis. We have to realize that this is a big industry. You look at real estate as a whole as 15 to 18% of GDP across the United States. It's big. And I tell people all the time, we've got to remember, not every company in this space is truly competing. Mm-hmm. For example, at Remax, we're a franchise company. We award franchises, and those franchises are entrepreneurs, Tom, just like yourself. You run your own business and you go out and find agents that want to become part of your company and stay with your company so that those entrepreneurs can build. You can't buy a franchise from Zillow. You can't buy advertising from Remax. And so even though we service the same space, we do different things. And when you look at...
Some brokers look at that very differently than what you just articulated.
Absolutely. And then they get caught up in the noise.
Yeah.
And here's an example of where there is a conflict point in some of these companies. So we're picking on Zillow a little bit. I've talked about that the company has a rub with what they want to do with the consumer versus the agent. And I can sum it up in one word inside the industry, Zestimate. Right? People were throwing tomatoes at me for years saying, it's not right. The value isn't right. They haven't been in the home. I have. And they get really worked up emotionally. Well, what I tell people is realize this wasn't about being the perfect value of a home. What it was is feeding the eyeballs of homeowners to say, come to our site, and then they'll continue to develop and look more. And so we have to keep in mind that they're serving a buyer and seller as their North Star. Broker owners are serving their agents as their North Star, with consumers being part of their agent's business. So long-winded way to say, I think what it has taught me is figuring out who your customer is, realizing that there are different companies in this space that do different things, but they may all touch the same consumer. You have one buyer, they may start on Zillow. They get a mortgage, they use a title company. That same person may be touched throughout our industry by multiple different companies, but they do different things in the process. And that's where I see the industry get twisted up, is they forget that we're all doing different things, but then the conspiracy theories come in. And I have a great friend that's been in this business over 40 years. And he said to me years ago when I was there, he said, you have to realize that there's always a boogeyman in this business. And if there's not one, we'll make one up.